It's my favorite segment of the week. The Pittsburgh Steelers talk mailbag here in Week 18 before the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Baltimore Ravens in the season finale at Acrisure Stadium in the AFC North Division Championship game this weekend. Now, before we get into the content today and before we get to your questions, we do these mailbags every single week, and these questions come from you guys, the viewers who tune in for our Steelers Talk live show. So if you guys want to join us and join the most interactive Steelers fan community anywhere here on YouTube, click that subscribe button. We go live for every single Steelers game where we react to the game together. We also go live during the week to talk about Steelers news and rumors topics. We have community posts on this channel every day. And what I love about this community is that, not only is it the largest fan community anywhere here on YouTube among Steelers fans, over 100,000 strong, but also it's just the amount of engagement that we get here with people around the world that love the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you want a place to come hang out, talk Steelers football in either a live or a video on demand type of environment, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And with that, let's get into the questions this week, starting with my man Czar Craig. Says, do you trust the current coaching staff to develop a new rookie quarterback if we draft one early, or should the Steelers make offensive coaching changes? Well, I'll say this, I'm not expecting offensive coaching changes, at least not heading into next year. We'll see about the futures of Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith probably in the 2027 offseason. But, heading into next year, I fully expect at least Tomlin and Art to be back. We'll see about Taylor Lawson. The defense is playing well down the stretch, but his contract is expiring at the end of this year. But the honest answers is no. I don't have a ton of confidence in Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin to develop a new rookie quarterback. And, the reason for that is I'm just a believer that offensive head coaches do a better job developing rookie quarterback talent. And honestly, Arthur Smith doesn't have a ton of a track record, drafting young quarterbacks and then developing them. Like, he had a veteran, Ryan Tannehill, and he had a lot of success with him. But in terms of Marcus Mariota, who was still a developing quarterback, flamed out in Tennessee. Also, he had Mariota again in Atlanta, flamed out again, drafted Desmond Ridder, absolute dumpster fire, right? So he had Justin Fields last year, still a developing young quarterback here in Pittsburgh. Even though we went 4-2, that was because of our defense, and honestly, I didn't think Justin Fields played all that well in that 6-game stretch. So for me, I don't have a ton of confidence in this coaching staff, if I'm being completely honest with you, Craig, which is why I kind of want them to hold off drafting a quarterback in round 1 till 2027 when the quarterback class should be better. $2 from Mark says, thoughts on the quarterback room, Willis, Howard, and a second or third round QB. Well, this is kind of like the PFF model, right? If you don't have a quarterback, keep throwing darts at the board, right? And, Willis is a 26-year-old guy. Howard, obviously, a draft pick from this last year and a national champion, and then you would bring in another second or third round pick to see if one of these guys sticks. That's certainly a strategy that could work. I mean, I certainly agree with the philosophy of if you don't have, your franchise quarterback, you got to do whatever you can to try and find one. But I also think if you bring in Willis, he's probably your bona fide starter. I think he's going to get at least what Justin Fields got last year, $20 million on 2 years. But honestly, I think he gets more than that, probably closer to $25 or even $30 million per year over 2 years. So, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't, but I would probably honestly rather use that second or third round pick on a different receiver if you bring in Willis, because he's going to get next season regardless, unless there's an injury. So decent idea there, Mark. Definitely Willis is an intriguing guy. A little bit risky because he hasn't played that much for Green Bay, but in his 2 years and in his limited sample size in Green Bay, he's looked pretty damn good. So would certainly be interested in him if Rodgers retires. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Do you trust Mike Tomlin to develop a young quarterback? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. Just a second here, I'm going to tell you about an awesome deal we have going on our website right now. Before I tell you about that, though, while I'm talking about that, give me a yes or a no down there in the comments. With that, if you guys want a DK Metcalf Angry Runs t-shirt, we're currently selling them on our website right now. Go chatsports.com/AngryDK. And personally, guys, I know DK's in a bit of hot water right now, especially if the Steelers lose this week. But DK is our number one receiver here in Pittsburgh. He's under contract for the next half decade. And I love the look of this T-shirt with the red eyes on DK and the flaming helmet. I just love this design. And I think that this is one that you can wear for a very long time. So you guys can go chatsports.com/angrydk. And every time you guys click that link and make a purchase, part of the proceeds go back to us here at Steelers Talk, and it helps us out. So if you want to help us out today, chatsports.com/angrydk to pick up this T-shirt today. Justin Yankuski with a 10 says, Jack, I like your video earlier and I would be all about Willis. However, don't you think this is more of a philosophy issue rather than who we have as QB? Well, here's the thing, Justin. The philosophy that we're running right now is very dependent on the quarterback because Aaron runs the offense, essentially. Like, Art is giving him a couple play options in the huddle, and then Rodgers is deciding which play to run, or he's just killing both plays and running whatever audible he's calling at the line of scrimmage based on what he's seeing pre-snap. The thing about that pre-snap centric offense, though, is that it's kind of archaic because the modern NFL defense sits in, quarters looks and too high safety looks, and they rotate post-snap, and it can be so hard to decipher what a defense is in pre-snap, and sometimes Rodgers is making poor decisions with the football based on his pre-snap read because of post-snap rotations. And I think that there's a reason why all the top offenses in the league, the McVays and the Shanahans and the Cohens of the world, are all running pure progression-based offenses in the passing game because it doesn't put as much stress from a pre- and, frankly, post-snap perspective on the quarterback. Now, Rodgers is obviously, kind of stuck in his ways, and he's played a certain way all his career, and he's probably going to be a dog that doesn't want to be taught new tricks. And as long as you have Rodgers, you're going to have that philosophy. But I would say it's possible, especially if you get a guy like Willis who's coming over from a pure progression-based passing offense in Green Bay. That's probably the system that he would be most comfortable with. So Arthur Smith, being a good coordinator, if he's a good coordinator, would tailor the offense to Willis's strengths. So hopefully the philosophy would look a lot different with Willis at quarterback than it looks like with Rodgers at quarterback this season. So like the video if you haven't already. If you are a real one, I greatly appreciate your guys' support and your questions on this week's mailbag. Liking the video tells the YouTube algorithm that you enjoy our content and you think that they should recommend it to other Steelers fans like yourself. So we would greatly appreciate it if you help us out today. And we got a $10 super chat from Tom. It says, what about Will Howard next year? Listen, man, I thought it was risky for the Minnesota Vikings to go with J.J. McCarthy this year as their starting quarterback because they were in a win-now season in Minnesota, and they were expecting to compete for a Super Bowl with a guy that had just a couple preseason snaps and no regular season experience in J.J. McCarthy before he had his injury last year. They were taking a big risk, and J.J. McCarthy was their first-round pick in the top 10. All right, the Steelers would be making a very similar type of risk, only Howard hasn't even taken a single snap in the preseason, and he's a sixth-round pick. All right, like that is a huge risk, especially in the final year of Cam Hayward's career, and he's trying to retire a champion. You're really going to go up to Cam Hayward and you're going to say, we're going to play this guy that hasn't even taken a preseason snap yet? Like, I just don't know if you can go with Howard next year as the bona fide option. Now, something they could maybe do, Tom, is you could give Will a chance to compete for the job with another player. Like, maybe they bring in Geno Smith or something like that, and you have Geno Smith, kind of an older veteran, versus Will Howard, and then you see which one's better at the end of camp. That wouldn't be what I want to do. I would rather, not go that route, but the thing about Howard is we just have no idea how good of a player he is. We just have no idea. And, I think that going with him as your starter next year would be a massive risk that I probably don't want to make in Cam Hayward's final season of his career. $10 from Bodie Irwin says, do you think the Steelers should draft a wide receiver in the first round if we keep Rodgers for another year? That's probably what they end up doing. Because this roster is pretty set. As long as they don't completely tear this thing down and rebuild, you've got a lot of your veteran pieces under contract, and there's just a few little holes that you have to fill. You're going to have to sign a corner. You're going to have to find an answer at left guard, and then obviously wide receiver is going to be a big question mark, along with quarterback. But if Rodgers comes back, that that answer is that Rodgers will be your quarterback. So if you get into the first round, and it's a really good wide receiver class, guys, in my opinion. You got Mekhi Lemon, who could be there at your pick. Denzel Boston, the kid out of Tennessee, is really good too. They got some options now. Okay, so if you can pair DK Metcalf up with somebody that you believe can be maybe even your future number one and your number two for the next half decade while DK is playing out the rest of his contract, I think that would be a good thing to do. And then also, sign a veteran in free agency that can be your two right away. Someone like a Jawan Jennings, who's a great run blocker, would be a great fit for Arthur Smith's offense. You pair him up with DK Metcalf, you draft a young wide receiver in round one that could be your future number one guy, and create that tandem between DK and that first-round rookie for the next half decade. I think that's a really good plan to address the wide receiver position. And honestly, when you look at this roster, guys, I think the Steelers are probably one good offseason away from really having a really, really good roster. I know we've been saying that the last couple of years, but I really do believe that, and I do not think it's time to completely rebuild this thing here in Pittsburgh. There's still a lot of talent here, and hopefully this coaching staff can get the most out of them in the years to come. So what say you guys? What is the Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest position of need heading into next year? Is it wide receiver? Is it quarterback? Is it cornerback? Is it offensive line? Is it something else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And that's going to do it for this week's mailbag here on Steelers Talk. Great questions this week, as always. And I can't wait to get into some of our off-season mailbags. Hopefully it's not this week. Hopefully we got at least a couple more weeks here of Steelers football. But I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.